Olivia. To the top. Right, it's been about 3 weeks fermenting. It looks like this now, which is basically the same, but there is a very large yeast cake at the bottom, which I'll show you in a second. First of all, we're gonna now rack it into our ore, which we bought. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna rack it using this siphon tube. And I'm really scared to do it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna practice with a glass of water. As you can see on my left, I guess on your right, you will see a full glass of water, and on your left you will see a empty glass of water. So we're gonna do this using siphoning action. I'm sure there are some great like minute physics videos, and probably like who's that great YouTuber? Like, I actually don't remember his name, but it's done stuff to explain this. I really don't understand why siphoning works. Put it in, as long as it's lower, and then you get it started, because you can get around the bend, you'll go. So, oh god, this is full of sanitation water filled with our sanitizer. I really don't want to drink it. Okay, it is now filling, just constantly, because it wants to fill the vacuum, basically. That's so weird. I don't understand it. It's magic. That works really well. Okay, whatever. So, I feel like I'm out of frame quite a bit. I don't know why I'm so out of frame. The camera's the exact same angle, but there we go, completely emptied. Okay, so the very first thing we're gonna need to do, now that I've tested everything out, is we're gonna need to take a look at the mead itself. This will come into play later. Hold on. Let's bring the mead over. Hello. Now, I'm gonna try and lift it up so you can see the bottom. There's a very large layer of sediment at the bottom. I'm trying not to agitate it too much. The camera's difficult where I am, so we're gonna take, I wanna transfer this as quick as possible. So what I'm gonna try and do is, you'll see in a second, is I'm gonna try and take a quick sample from this, and then I'm gonna re-cork it, because I wanna take a sample from the top before it's agitated. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a sample so that we can see like the HPP, the ABV of it. So let's do it. I'm very excited. I'm scared also. That smells wonderful. Okay. Christ. Assistant, where's the assistant? Thank you. Really wish you'd wash your hands using sanitizer rather than that. Because now you need to re-sanitize that.
Okay, I'll reset the time.
What we're doing is we're just filling this up to 100, same as we did before. And we're testing to see what the level is of everything. You can tell this is not a professional video. Camera lady, would you mind coming in over here to help zoom in on this? If at all possible. Splash it all over my hand. So we're trying to look at this, but as you can see, it's floating to the top. Oh wow, it's really gone up. It is, oh man, really? So it is 1.03? Yeah, 1.04. So that might be a little drier than we intended. A little drier than we intended at 1.04. Assistant, would you mind writing that down on your phone? 1.04 is the current level. Cool, I'm gonna take that out. And then we're gonna get a glass. And we're gonna drink it, because this is mead. This is finished mead. I'm not gonna drink from my flask. I'm not a plebeian. Unfortunately, may not have any clean glasses. Wine glasses would perhaps be more fitting, but we'll see. This is perfect. Here it is. So we're gonna chuck this in here. This is the first 100 milliliter sample of my mead. I realized I was going to put it back in. Probably should have done that because now there's too much headspace. But here we are. Nose straight away. I have no idea. That's freaking tasty. That's mead. I'm gonna pass it over to my assistant while she takes a little sip. I would describe that as, it's a very basic mead, it's very traditional. It's honey, water, yeast, and nutrients. But it's not got any complex. It's got some complex flavors because the honey's quite nice. You can definitely taste the wildflower aspect of it. It's got a complexity there, and it's only going to get better because it is still, it's still very opaque. You can't see through it at all because there's still quite a lot of yeast sediment within.
It's all a bit fizzy.
Olivia is just realizing that this is a fizzy drink. It's carbonated.
I've never had mead that's fizzy before.
When the mead we had, the other mead Olivia's had, actually the only mead yes. Well, you did. We had the Braggart mead in Stockholm. That was fizzy because it's carbonated. Yeah.
Mead that I'm used to is...
The mead we had in Poland, which was Polish mead, but it was all aged. crayon, no, it's stuff. It was all aged 2 and 6 years. In 2 years, the carbonation completely goes.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, because it's younger, it's going to be carbonated. I like it.
That's nice. I'm just not used
And
to
it's
being
only
fizzy.
going to get better. And also, I'm pretty sure it's quite strong. Because obviously, one thing we could do is we could back sweeten it.
Bitter, however, so maybe not.
That is likely the yeast.
Okay, so that will go.
The bitterness, it's just I want to know if it's dry.
I wouldn't say it's dry.
Okay. Because what we could do, it's about 11% we just worked out. And it also, my final gravity, my target gravity was 103.8. That's exactly what it is. How insane is that? That tells me that almost certainly this is done. I am still getting a little bubble every 15 to 20 seconds. That is mostly due to just air displacement. It should be fine. So we're gonna put a half teaspoon of each into this, and then we're gonna siphon all the liquid in here. And then we need to make the decision of whether or not we back sweeten. I don't know. What do you think, Olivia?
I wouldn't say to, but like I said, I don't like things very sweet, so
No.
it's difficult for me to judge.
If we back sweeten it, we will add some more of the spare water and more of the spare honey that we had. And what that will do is it will help the headspace, but it will dilute it.
I
And it
don't
will get
think we
weaker. You don't think we should? Also, worst to worst, if we really don't like it, we could put some honey in it when we open the bottles. I'm really frightened that I'm going to screw something up. I don't want to. So what these are is this is a fermentation stopper and wine stabilizer. And potassium sulfate, actually I think it's actually just a stabilizer. And I think the other one is more the fermentation stopper, but they kind of do both. I'm going to use both anyway. Some people prefer not to use chemicals. They prefer just to try and avoid that. I should use about 1 gram for like a half. I think I worked it out. It's just a little under half a teaspoon. It feels a lot more than a gram. That's actually why I have an assistant here.
It does seem a lot more than a gram.
Would you mind please opening the weighing machine?
Opening the weighing machine?
Yes, turning on the weighing machine and weighing using that handy backup murmur.
This thing?
Yes. I've already sanitized it. Yeah, we're fine.
Doesn't even recognise it as a gram.
So yeah, it's completely fine. It turns out, oh, that really hurt. Turns out it weighs basically nothing. So we're gonna now have to kind of scoop it back out. It's already sanitized. And we're just gonna put it right in there. Very arduous. There's easier ways of doing this, I'm sure.
Pouring it in.
The potassium metasulfate, it looks powdery. There we go. And now we will begin the siphoning
Oh,
action.
this one doesn't reseal.
No, it doesn't, because it's cheap and Polish. Sorry, Poland, but that's what you
Hey,
want.
they make the best mead.
They do make good mead. So now we have our siphoning tool, which I previously explained. Probably gonna need my assistant's help.
Well, you need to lift it onto the salt box.
Okay.
I hope we don't break the salt box, because the salt box is new.
And annoyingly, I can't see what I'm gonna have to do, because I'm gonna suck it down, and then hopefully it'll just keep coming. Yes, I need her to hold that up, because she's smarter than I am. And what she's gonna do is she's gonna hold this, follow it
I
down.
can see it.
Oh, I can't.
It's look, it's waving at you.
I can't see. Oh, I can barely see that, okay? Here it comes. That was really delicious. I got it in my mouth. That's it. Yes?
Okay.
Yes! So what we're trying to do is we're just going to hold it down. And the action of doing this should dissolve the goo. That's so strange, but it is going down. Oh, you can actually see it. It's so cool! Takes a really long time.
An hour later.
Yeah, probably several minutes later. Until eventually we start to get to the level of the lees. And when we get to the level of the lees, I will be stopping it. This is awesome. I don't know why, I just find this so cool. So fun fact, the stuff at the bottom, which is called lees, is actually used to flavor mead, some alcoholic beverages. For example, champagne has to sit for a minimum of, I don't know this the other day, I'm telling everybody, has to sit for a minimum of 15 months to be legally allowed to be called champagne. And what it does by sitting on the lees, which is the dead yeast cells that we use to make the alcohol, it gives it a distinct flavor. Each yeast strain gives it its own kind of flavor and aroma. It imparts, I mean, usually it's a bitterness, but it's a subtle bitterness, and it evens out with age as well. It just depends on what kind of type you have. So I don't want that for this mead though, so that's why I'm trying to get rid of it. Another thing you can do with the lees is you can collect them, and if you boil that, because there is still viable yeast within it, the dead live yeast cells get surrounded by dead yeast cells and hibernate. And you don't want that. What you could do is you could boil the lees in water and then dry it, and what you would have is basically your own fermate O, the nutrient paste powder I used earlier, because that's just dead yeast hulls, and that's what these are. They're just dead yeast hulls. And if you boil them, that's it. It's a natural source of nitrogen. I've already got a pile of fermate O, so I'm not going to do that. Some people actually, I was reading, they do actually make mead from the lees that they used from a previous batch to keep the yeast going, because enough live yeast cells exist in the lees. The only problem with that is as you get cumulatively forward, you get more and more lees flavor. But then you could theoretically have a batch of mead that you've been using the same lees for generations, like you could, like with sourdough. I think that'd be really cool. I realized I haven't trimmed my beard since I last did this.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not good, it's quite long. So what I've just done, unfortunately, is I've agitated it. And what we have now is we have a small pool of yeast in the bottom of our lees. I think that's as best we're gonna get. But the problem is it leaves us with that much headspace, which is a lot of headspace.
Can we not pour that out into the smaller glass so that we can work with it a bit easier?
We certainly can, but the problem is we then need to wait 2 days for a day for the yeast to come down again. So we have a lot of headspace, which is going to cause problems. Oh, what could we do? One thing we can do is we can make a water honey vodka solution or some description of strong spirit.
We don't have any vodka.
No, I don't have any vodka.
We'd have to go out and buy vodka.
Okay, so we've had a couple issues. The dog is barking, we're gonna have to deal with it. We have too much headspace, and this concerns me greatly. So what I'm gonna do, which headspace here, I'm going to make a sugar honey and water solution, and I'm going to pour it back in this, and then I'm gonna check the gravity of this. So now we're gonna need my assistant to hold on to that. It's distressingly hot. What do we do?
We wait for it to cool down.
Okay, we're gonna wait. So we're gonna do, the assistant's gonna come back, and she's going to hold this while I pour the solution in very carefully. And then we are going to measure the ABV. Delicious. So obviously this is way too sweet. This is now actually it's only 1/8. So we wanna half that, don't we? So currently our final gravity in this mead is 1038. And that is sweet/dry. And Olivia's considering making it sweeter. If we actually added this, then it would make, well, I guess, yeah, because the thing is, I'm not thinking about this right. I'm sorry about the dog barking, deal with it. We have to consider the fact that this is only 100 milliliters, or only a small amount we're adding in. So it's only going to affect the proportion of the final gravity, that is just, and not thus the sugar content.
Proportionally to how
much you put it in. So if we increased it by 50, if we increased the sugar content by 50%, as this is double, this now is double what the sugar final gravity of this is. But it is only 1/8 of the amount that we are adding into it. So if it is double, but also 1/8, what the hell is that?
Wait, I'll get some paper and then I will be able to help you.
Talk me through what we've been doing.
Trying to work out the, the AB, whatever you've been calling them. But I've done it.
We're trying to work out the final gravity.
I've worked it out.
Okay, so because the problem is, I'm gonna get in the camera for this. The problem is that we have to work out, we have 80% of the volume of the gallon jug as let's call it 04. It's actually 1038. Then we have a honey water solution that's a mixture of what number was it? 1.08. And so we're trying to figure out how do we get it to a desired final gravity of roughly 1045 to 105. And we started by using like percentage multiplication. Yeah.
Which is just wrong.
Which is just wrong because we weren't considering the facts. I don't know what we were considering. We weren't considering the volume as an actual amount. We were considering it just like a percentage value. And we worked out that it was 1067, which is just incorrect. And then we tried out some weird stuff and
then I got it on my own.
Alright, Olivia's gonna explain it to the camera.
Okay, I think this is right. I hope this is right.
Okay.
Otherwise lots of years of maths of iPad.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so for every 4 of the 1.04s that we're putting in, we're putting in 1 of the 1.08s.
Yes.
Yeah? So 1.04 times by 4.
Yeah.
Add the 1.08 that you would be putting in. Divide it by 5 and you get 1.048.
Yes.
See, I did it.
So
that maths A level did pay off.
That's actually pretty fine then.
Yeah. We know we can't control the 1.04. So, and we know that that comes out at 4.16. So we're going to take away what you're putting in to be 1.065.
Okay. So
And
I
that
will
will
water
get
it
you
down.
your 1.045.
Okay. We did it, guys!
I did it.
Libby did it! Okay, so now we figured out the exact balance of what we need. We want it to register at 1065 for it to be 1045.
Yes.
We've done it. Okay. Is that too sweet maybe a touch. I'm gonna put this back in. Okay, and it levels out at, well, I just randomly put water in it, so. It's actually 107.
We want to go down by 0.005.
Okay, I've realized that I haven't been measuring the amount of water I've been putting into it. Well, no, I guess I have to just keep watering it down until the amount that pours directly into it is that level that I want. So we're gonna have to pour some of this away, and then I will splash more water in. Give it a stir with my finger, because I'm a monster. Now, Olivia made a spill, unfortunately.
Lydia's gonna leave in a minute.
Okay, so this now total solution is sitting at 1068.
That'll do.
So we'll, yeah, that's fine. A little bit sweeter is fine, that's fine. Okay, so here is the magic trick. We have made a honey water solution. We've calculated the exact gravity of it and what we need. Then we spent, just never mind and just do it anyway. And we've mixed up a little bit more. We have some more and then some extra, which is slightly sweeter because I'm too lazy. I'm just tired. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open this up, we're gonna pop that on, and then we're gonna pour this in to fill it up. Okay, so we do need more. So there it is. It is unfortunately now been diluted. We have had to dilute it by about 1/8, so it is now going to be around 9.6%. There is a very small risk that it will begin to re-ferment. So we're gonna pop this back on. I'm gonna keep the airlock on it and keep it filled up with sanitizer. And what that's probably gonna do is that will bubble for a little bit to try and get rid of the displaced gases. And tomorrow and the next day, we'll see if it starts fermenting again. If it starts fermenting again, then it's just gonna keep fermenting. And that is good because then it will utilize the sugars that we put in to make more alcohol. But then it will go back to the sweetness level that we were at before of 1038. I think maybe we've made it too sweet. It's gonna be about 1044 or 1045 now. I think that's too sweet. It's gonna be a bit dessert winey. But we like sweet. We like sweet white wines. We're not sophisticated. So that's it. It's gonna go back upstairs, back on its towel, back in its little cage area, in a relatively temperature controlled area. And it's gonna sit still for anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks or so, or until it clears. I've added the 2 potassium thingies, so that should help. The yeast should die, and then it should clear up. And that's it. We're gonna wait, maybe in a month. We'll see you then when we bottle it, and we drink our first bottle. Bye-bye.